What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Sin City Crypto. I am David. I am joined today with Robin, and we are talking about Tether. What is going on in the world of Tether? They're saying they are not freezing the Tornado Cash addresses until the government tells it to. Tether issued a statement explaining that it has not frozen sanctioned wallet addresses with ties to Tornado Cash. Tether said that it, quote, works closely with U.S. law enforcement and does freeze privately held wallets when it receives legitimate requests from the authorities. There's a quote from Tether as well. Even if Tether recognizes suspicious activities on such an address, completing a freeze without the verified instruction of law enforcement and other government agencies might interfere with ongoing and sophisticated law enforcement investigations. So my question is this. Is this how it should be done? Who's in the wrong here? Is Tether in the wrong by waiting for a direct statement from the U.S. government, or are they right? Robin, what are your thoughts?
I mean, what are they supposed to do? Just to appease people's narratives and just freeze assets?
Well, you can see what some of the other companies did. They just went right ahead and froze it.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, is that the right path? No,
well, I don't know. What is the right path?
Absolutely not.
And so you should wait until the government says Tether, sanction these wallets now.
I'm not saying you should wait. I'm just saying that, like, if it was me, until the government, yeah, so I guess to answer your question, yes. I would wait until the government's like, yo, here's a court order. You need to freeze these accounts associated with this person or whatever that looks like. But to arbitrarily just take at face value what you think the government wants you to do, or what person that you assume is evading sanctions or whatever nefarious actions they're doing, I think it's unwise to put that power in a company, especially if it's supposed to be in blockchain, it's supposed to be this decentralized environment. I think it's just unfair to pass judgment on somebody if it's outside the government. And I don't even agree with this government freezing thing, but if I was in charge of Tether and it's something I'm gonna do anyways, I'm going to follow the seizures and freezing or sanction violations or whatever the government is trying to stop. I'm gonna follow the correct procedure, even though I don't agree with the procedure in the get-go. So
as Tether, don't you think it's their responsibility or part of the crypto community's responsibility as a whole to fight these sanctions? I mean, how are you sanctioning a piece of code? I mean, Robin, you made a good point on around the blockchain. Would you just remind the viewers what you said about it's similar to sanctioning?
So here's the thing. If you at base value, Tornado Cash is a software that was written years ago. I don't know exactly the date here off the top of my head, but it's been around for some time. And the developer who created it at the time created software that isn't at all illegal. Still necessarily isn't illegal, the code that he wrote. It's just the application, how it's used, is now deemed illegal after the fact. And so it draws into question your freedom of speech. And so if I were to write a book today and then you say that later on somebody read the book and did something illegal with it, could I be held liable for something I published years ago? If I wrote a book on how to build a bomb, there's nothing stopping me from doing that. If I say, hey, get gasoline and whatever, pressure cooker, however, I have no idea in that either. But I'm just saying that if I went through the process of publishing material for that and somebody were to execute an illegal activity with the knowledge that I built, how can I be held accountable for that? This is free speech. And if somebody builds a protocol that lets you move cash in a certain way or a blockchain asset in a certain way, and it's not illegal at base value, I feel that it's infringing on your freedoms to, after the fact, evaluate a project and be like, well, you know what? We don't like that. That's illegal. We don't like this code or this process, even though it's decentralized and nobody really controls it. It's not like there's an illegal party walking up, or it's not that there's a criminal walking up and applying for a loan of some sort. Or opening up a bank account. This is somebody that's just using a protocol and exactly what it is designed to do.
And here's here's a parallel I'll draw. And unfortunately, in this country we live in the United States, we see a lot of shootings. We see a lot of school shootings, mall shootings, whatever the case may be, neighborhood shootings. Do you see the government going after these gun manufacturers and suing them? And if they do, are they?
They're not. They're not suing. No. All they're doing is putting.
Are we ever going to ban guns because someone shot up a school? Because guns were created to protect, for citizens to protect themselves against government, against tyranny, against other government and you know, foreign terrorists. Now, if someone uses it to go, unfortunately, shoot up an elementary school, does that mean all guns should be banned? When in the first place it was created to do good, just like Tornado Cash was.
But there is a lane and an avenue for privacy. And so if you want massive adoption across the world as far as replacing fiat and the traditional systems that we have, there needs to be an option or a layer or an availability to conceal your transactions for whatever reasons that you have. I mean, it's normal business practices for exchange to have the exchange of goods or services without it being public information. You can look at perhaps here's a good example. You have Blackwater, for example, who used to work as a mercenary type of company out in Afghanistan and in Pakistan back when we had the after the 9/11
Iraqi war.
Iraq war. It wasn't Iraq war, but you know, the Pakistan conflict. And so with that situation, you had a lot of people that were overseas in a war zone that could be traced. Their transactions could put them at risk. And so to have anonymity and to conceal your identity when you have just basic transactions or the movement of goods, there is people's lives at stake here. And so, we also saw Vitalik doing that. When he donated money to Ukraine, he did it in an anonymous way as well.
And it wasn't it wasn't because he was trying to be shisty or he was trying to hide the fact that he borrowed money or that he sent money. It's the fact that the people at the receiving end, he didn't want them to have a target on their back.
Yeah, exactly. And so you can make a case that there is a place for it. And if this is to grow, which it will, if cryptocurrency to grow and be massive adoption across the world, there's going to need to be certain cases and instances where you're going to need privacy. It's just how things work, and it's here now. So don't make it sound like you can transact privately now for the first time ever. You can do that all the time here around the world. So the fact that they're trying to shut it down, it's ignorant. They don't really understand how the technology works either, because essentially it is software that just lives on the internet, and nobody really controls it at this point. And so it's decentralized to a point where it is what it is, and people are going to use it. And so unless you just straight up ban the internet, all you're really doing is making it a little bit more difficult for a person to launder money. If that's what you're trying to go after.
Let me pose a question to you. So we saw Circle do the complete opposite. They got in there as soon as the government, as soon as OFAC announced the sanctions, they went in there.
Circle is freaking heavily invested by the U.S. government. So Blackwater is deeply invested in BlackRock is deeply invested in Circle. So BlackRock is heavily influenced by the government and vice versa. So
here's my question though. Circle went that route. Tether looks like they're waiting. Would you feel more comfortable holding your money in a stable coin like Tether versus something like Circle?
Tether is run from parties over in China, basically. China and Korea, Asian nations, they're the ones that predominantly control Tether. Bitfinex is the founding exchange behind it. Also another Asian-based exchange. And so they don't have as much of the influence that Circle has. Like I mentioned, they are stationed or based here in the U.S. And most of their investment and venture capital going, in the early stages, were all behind coming from the U.S. government and a lot of the large corporations that run the U.S. government. So not surprised. The U.S. government is trying to shut down Tornado Cash, and lo and behold, the stable coin that is predominantly controlled by the U.S. government took the first step towards following that narrative. So no coincidence there.
So let us know in the comments, did Tether make the right move by waiting for the U.S. government to directly say, hey, sanction these wallets? Or did Circle make the correct move to be in good standing with the U.S. government and with regulators by getting in front of it? Let us know in the comments. That'll do it for the video today. We will see you guys next time.